So over the past few months, I've really been getting into the Xbox Game Pass. I think it's honestly a brilliant service and conceptually an amazing idea, but it's flawed, like really flawed. In today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the good things about Xbox Game Pass, but also some of the very ugly things and some things that are actually making me want to not use it as much now. Now, the reason why Xbox Game Pass is so important to me is it allows me to play multiple different games wherever I am in the world. Whether I'm traveling or doing something or working with other creators, I can always have access to some of my favorite games. In theory, but when it does work, it is honestly such a useful way to be able to game and have access to hardware when you don't physically have access to the hardware. Well, that's the good stuff out the way. Who's ready for a dumpster fire of a video? Right, let's get into it. Firstly, there's the elephant in the room. Xbox have just introduced the price increase, which makes it $20 a month now, which, you know, that's $240 a year, which is more expensive than a used Xbox and not that much cheaper than a brand new Xbox, so you could just go and buy an Xbox. But once again, there's the portable aspect of it being Game Pass, so we can let them off for that side of it, but the price increase is pretty extreme, and I know a few of my friends have just stopped using it now because of that, which is fair enough. Next, we have the most annoying feature of Xbox Game Pass, and when I say the most annoying feature, this ruins gaming experiences for me. So outside of YouTube, I still do some other work with other creators and stuff, and I have to take phone calls throughout the day, and I work really weird hours, so if I'm deciding to do some gaming and I just want to game for like 20 minutes or half an hour and someone decides to call me, I can guarantee that I have to sit by my computer and constantly move my controller to remind Xbox that I'm still there and not to kick me out the session. Now, what really sucks about this is it kicks you out the session and doesn't save the game. Recently, I've been playing Car Mechanic Simulator, and in real life terms, it takes you about 30 minutes to 40 minutes to completely strip a car down in the game. Someone rang my doorbell and I had to go to the front door for a few minutes, and I came back to find out that I'd been kicked from the game, returned back to the Game Pass home center, and I'd lost all my previous saved content. At one point in time, you were able to turn this feature off, but seeing as Xbox Game Pass has become really popular, they've disabled people turning this off. So if you know that you're going to have any interruptions when using Xbox Game Pass, this can be the most frustrating thing, especially for games that don't autosave. The next thing is that the search bar on Game Pass sucks. When you're trying to search for a game, you're given the option to search for console games or PC games, but sometimes you just want to search for everything. But for some reason, it won't allow you to search for everything. I want to search both console and PC games at once. Instead, I have to look through all the console games and then all the PC games to decide which ones I want to play. The next thing is that the search filters are incorrect. Some games are put into the wrong categories, like some simulator games aren't in the simulator category when they're literally titled as a simulator. Overall, it kind of sucks, and it's kind of tailored to push games towards you that you really just don't want to play. Which brings me on to my next point. There's some key games that are used to advertise Game Pass. These are the key games that they'll run in adverts to get people interested in signing up, but they'll have 3 or 4 really mainstream popular games on there, and the rest of the games on there are games that in my personal opinion, I think suck. There's so many games on there that most people aren't going to be interested in, that feel like they're just filler content. Now, after doing a bit more research into this, there's a few theories floating around online that potentially Microsoft are taking payment from games developers to have games on Game Pass, and it's kind of more of a promo material thing. I'm not sure if that's the case, but if it was the case, it would make a lot of sense. But there's a lot of games here that a lot of people just wouldn't be interested in, myself included. It feels like this is the place where some games go to die, and it's the last chance for Microsoft to make some money out of the game before it falls into obscurity. And I'm also annoyed because Grand Theft Auto is not available on there. Please sort it out. Now, the next thing is the kind of underhanded way that Game Pass works. So games are added, and you'll play that game and you'll enjoy that game, and then it's removed from Game Pass. Game Pass is essentially used by games developers and Microsoft themselves to put games in people's hands to get them addicted, to get them enjoying it, then removing it from there, forcing them to go and buy it. So some of the benefits of having Game Pass, especially when you're only really playing it for 1 or 2 games, are completely lost when it would just be cheaper to buy the game that you're spending 90% of your time playing anyway, especially at $20 a month. And I'm going to hand over to fellow creator Anthony to talk a little bit more about this.
Yo, Cyber, thanks for letting me give my 2 cents on this. To me, Xbox Game Pass on paper sounds like a great idea, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's kind of mid, to be honest. With all subscription-based services, you have to worry about renewing them somewhat frequently, and that can be a massive stinker. If you don't have the money to renew your subscription, not only are you out of luck, but you're also out of games. Digital game ownership is in a bit of a gray area right now anyways, simply because of the fact that Ubisoft has basically made it to where they can yoink any game out of your library anytime they feel the need to. People's copies of The Crew got completely yoinked from their accounts because the game's servers went offline. If you buy games on Steam or GOG, however, your games are going to stay in your library until the publisher feels the need to remove the games from your account, for whatever reason. The same feeling occurs with Xbox Game Pass. There may be a game that you really love that's available on there, and it gets yoinked from Game Pass. So you're paying all this money monthly for this specific subscription to play a specific game or games, and they can be removed from that subscription at any time. This may be a good idea to some, but in my personal opinion, Microsoft should have a set list of games that are supposed to stay on Xbox Game Pass, and then be open and transparent about the games that are going to potentially leave Game Pass in the future. This is just my personal opinion though. Thank you very much, Cyber, for allowing me to voice my opinions on this. Back to you, brother.
The next thing is, with the price increase that's been introduced by Microsoft, if you've got an existing deal, for example with your phone plan or a third party company where you get 3 months of Xbox Game Pass for free or a year for free, those deals in some instances are being terminated. You'll have to speak to the people you got those deals with, but I know with my phone contract, one of the key reasons I chose my particular plan was that I got 12 months of Xbox Game Pass for free. I've now received a notification and that's been reduced down to 6 months just because of the price increases that have been introduced. Either Microsoft should be honouring their deals with these phone companies, or the phone companies should be honouring a deal with us. I'm not too sure, but it just feels a little bit underhanded and it sucks a bit. The next thing is, if you're using a PlayStation controller to use Game Pass, it will work, but there are drawbacks. I've found personally there's quite a bit of latency on some games between what you're doing on the controller and what happens on screen, and it also feels like some features don't perform as well with a PlayStation controller as it would with an Xbox controller. Now I don't think Microsoft are doing anything intentionally here, but surely it can't be too hard for them just to update their software to make sure the controllers work effectively with the games. But don't worry if you don't have an Xbox controller, Microsoft will keep trying to sell you one. Every single time I connect my PlayStation controller to Xbox Game Pass, it immediately tries to upsell me an Xbox controller. And the final thing that kind of sucks about Game Pass is that if your internet connection isn't perfect, some games are relatively difficult to play. So where I live at the moment, I have 1000 megabits per second download and around 500 megabits per second upload. However, if I've got YouTube or a podcast on in the background, sometimes games can lag and have a bit of dropout. Now I'm not sure if this is a server-based thing or an internet connection-based thing, but something isn't communicating with something else to make this happen. It's extremely annoying when you're in the middle of an action-packed game and all of a sudden a frame freezes for like a second and then the game comes back and you're facing completely the wrong way and you've been shot. So yeah, that's my overall roundup of the Xbox Game Pass. I do think it's a great service if you're like traveling or in a hotel or you don't have an Xbox, but at the new price that they're doing it for, which is $20 a month, I feel like it's less worthwhile. If it was like $9 a month, it would make far more sense. I feel like this new price increase will probably make a lot of people stop using the service. So thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, please remember to like and subscribe, and a massive thank you to Anthony for joining me on this video. Make sure you go over to his channel and subscribe to him because he's awesome, and I'll see you all in the next one.
I'm just looking for a cheap girl, put it on my neck. I keep doing this dance.